Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Ismael here. You're somebody who's built out an incredible piece of technology to give creators the opportunity to really have their own, monetization strategy and funnel built out. And you've done this by leveraging the best in automation and AI, and you've really built up a digital future for a lot of built up a really digital foundation for people to have a great future in this creator world, which who knows what they would have been able to do without that. So I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Really appreciate you having me on. That's exactly kind of what we are and what we do. We actually have a report coming out tomorrow on exactly this, the creator economy, how it's it's huge already. So last year. 2023, it was a $250 billion business. We represent about 1% of that with the creators and coaches and entrepreneurs we have on our platform, but that is set to grow to about $600 billion by 2030. So it's very much a case of, a lot of people shifted, especially during the pandemic. Those trends, stayed, and there are a lot of people who were, certainly on our platform, went from one-to-one kind of coaching and teaching and entrepreneurship to thinking, hey, we want to do one-to-many. And to do that, you need a platform behind you that can that can kind of sustain scale and growth as businesses go from making their very first dollar to, we have people on the platform now comfortably making 8 figures a year and continuing to scale. So it's incredible to see some of these companies and what they're doing, and we're just a small part of their journey, but hopefully a very, very reliable one and a good backbone that is there so that they don't have to worry about automation, scaling and payments and checkouts and all those things. They can really focus on the marketing, the growth engine of the business while we handle everything in the background.
So Ismael, can you just talk a bit about your background as an entrepreneur? How did you become interested in the creator space, and what led to this specific idea?
Yeah, so I have a very long background. I didn't actually start in this space. I started all the way back as an investment banker over 20 years ago. I didn't last very long. I saw a very linear journey, and a great journey for the people that do it, but very, very linear journey. And I knew I just wanted something different. So we, me and my business partner at the time actually went off and started a small boutique M&A shop. And as part of that process, we, I think to date, we've helped over 1,500 entrepreneurs in the, SaaS kind of creator, e-commerce space, kind of, exit plan and then exit their businesses. So as part of that, we came across ThriveCart and saw kind of a huge opportunity, just in the creator space in general, and we jumped all over it. So we actually took over the business, I would say, about 3 years ago now, and since then we've scaled the team from a founder-led team of 4 individuals to we're approaching 200 people now, powering 65,000 businesses, doing over $2 billion a year in payments. So we kind of took all the things that we had learned from seeing. I think we had valued close to about 23,000 software and creator businesses and e-commerce businesses by the time we kind of took the jump into ThriveCart. So we learned a huge amount of seeing what other people were doing, and that gave us a really good kind of knowledge platform to jump into this business and so far do really well with it. But yeah, like you said, there's a huge amount ahead of us in terms of AI, all of the exciting things around that now, and it is great to be on the doing it side of the equation now, which I'm really, really enjoying.
So why did you decide to focus specifically on creators and the creator economy? There's lots of different types of businesses out there. There's lots of people that could use a service like this. Why hone in on creators?
Yeah, we've always had a kind of in my career was had a natural inclination towards kind of helping, kind of providing the tools, guidance, expertise that are usually kind of exclusively reserved for kind of enterprises or kind of the B2B, sometimes B to SMB, but kind of very rarely, it gets distributed much further than that. So that's always kind of been a big kind of passion of mine in general. And I very much, that's something that is the core and ethos of the business. We want to kind of give, empower and give the tools to as many people as possible. That's one of the reasons that, that our pricing model is kind of, if you if you would like to, you pay us once and then you never have to pay us again. We want to keep as much money in your pocket as possible. I mean, I've seen platforms charge anywhere between like 5 to 15% in fees, and on top of recurring subscriptions and poorly optimized checkouts and all of these things. So that's just really kind of not what we think is a kind of a fair starting ground for a lot of businesses that in those first kind of couple of months or years, keeping as much in your pocket as possible is very, very important to kind of help funnel back into growth and back into scaling. So that's something that kind of we've always believed. And this gives us the opportunity to actually kind of dive in and work with some of these companies. And it's such a fulfilling thing to be able to, and like I said, we're only a very, very small part of the journey. We will take absolutely no credit for the amazing people we have on the platform and the things they're doing, and just the creativity that you see. It is fantastic. But certainly we want to give everybody as many, as much and as many tools as they like and need to be able to, like I said, go from making their first dollar on the platform to making 8 figures and hopefully beyond. And we see a lot of that. Our tech is kind of designed in a way where you can do everything on our platform. You can do just certain things on our platform. You can take us anywhere. So we're not restrictive. We like to integrate with as many companies as possible. We have over 50 direct integrations plus all the Zapier integrations and everything else. And we just really feel that just give as much as you possibly can. Let the customer go. Let the merchants own their data. Let them own their customers. And we just want to be a value add as part of the journey.
So how do you think about making a no-code sales platform as robust as a code sales platform? All these creators need the access to that. You just mentioned all the partnerships you have and the features, but it sounds like a big task to do.
Yeah, and it's something that we do in the background. I mean, it is, that's one of the reasons we went from 4 people when we took over the business to 200-ish now, and adding more. I mean, we're utilizing a lot of AI in the background now for coding, code reviews, all of the things that you can imagine. We have tried or are trying, but that in our case, is just supplemented. It just means we can move faster. We're certainly not looking at it as a let's replace people or anything like that. It's how can we get more done, with the people that we have while we continue to add. So yeah, but I think to your question, the no code part of it is, I would say it's table stakes now. I mean, if we look at, going forwards with AI, it won't even be no code. I mean, in the future, and not too distant future, I would say, even going in and doing kind of drag and drop will feel a little bit archaic. So, I think that you really need to be using a platform like that and kind of trusting that, like, look, we process over 10 million payments a year on the platform. So we're constantly working in the background to optimize and make sure, things, look, feel, and perform as they should, which kind of takes it off the table for, a lot of the creators and entrepreneurs on the platform, so they can focus at doing what they're really, really good at, not having to worry, about the things going on in the background. So yeah, I would say that, there are lots of platforms out there. We're one of them. One of the key things that I think, differentiates us is just scale. I would say, the amount of people, the amount of, dollars being processed, the amount of individual transactions, and one of the things that we really try to kind of keep true to our development as we continue to go forward is making sure that scale does not become a problem as these companies become successful. So we do a really good job of attracting entrepreneurs that are kind of industry experts at something, which there are lots out there, certainly, but someone that there might have been an accountant for 20 years and decided, look, I want to do one-to-many teaching as opposed to kind of one-to-one sat in an office. And they don't want to have to worry about, what's going on in the background. They might build a team, it might grow, and they might have people in-house that eventually will do that. But on day one, and, as far as we can go, we want to make it as simple as possible so they can sell more in a very, very simple way.
Can you talk about, Ismael, like the evolution of the tools that you had as part of this? Like, what was the first tools you rolled out, and then how did you determine the next ones, and how did those tools evolve over time?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, when the business was originally founded, it was definitely kind of checkout plus landing page, simple editor, those things. And then as it kind of grew over time, you just kind of look at the journey of the customers. And when the payment, and a lot of people believe payment is the last mile. It's like you've done everything else, you've got your great attractive ads, or the SEO or geo that we're now calling it, and everything else, and the payment is kind of the last bit. We take a different look at that, and if you actually look in, at the data there, you can start to observe and see patterns. And one of the big things that we observed was like the businesses here, the creators, they have great personal networks. So how can we leverage that? And what kind of tools can we offer to do more? So whether that's, now we have obviously a great affiliate platform. I think we have 900,000 affiliates on that platform. We can do JV contracts for like brand partnerships and those kind of things. So it's kind of taking that step of the checkout and being like, okay, how do we go further? How do we enhance this more so people can, turn their audience and their peers into advocates? And then going, on from there, we were like, okay, well, all these checkouts and sales are happening. What are they selling? What are they actually like? What's the next step in that journey? And then we realized, LMS, so that learning management system to kind of house students and courses was really the big one. I mean, I would say, about 50-ish% of people on our platform have some kind of course that they're kind of selling students into. We have about 12 million enrollments on our student platform. So LMS became a very, very big thing to us. And yeah, it's great because those students then, become experts in their own right. And then they go off and want to create their own businesses or whatever it might be. I mean, a lot of the trend now is people learning, all the new AI things. We're definitely seeing, a lot of the learning that you would expect to be done by corporates are actually being done by creators. And the corporates just can't keep up as far as we can tell. So that's a huge new avenue that we're seeing. But yeah, so you kind of follow that and then there's a natural evolution. So now we're starting to tool up to like, okay, where's it going next? What are the things, going forwards 1 or 2 years? What are payments going to look like? What is agent protocol going to look like? Google have their new kind of AP2. You now have ChatGPT that has kind of payments in there as well. And they've just announced their new app store, so kind of the App Store 2.0, which will act a lot more like the iOS App Store, for example. So all the payments and kind of subscription elements going in there too. So yeah, there's a huge amount we're kind of looking, forward to in terms of development. But at the core, we saw the combination of great editor, landing page, checkouts, affiliates, and LMS was a winning combination. And yeah, over 50%, I would say, of people on our platform are following that formula.
Wow. And have you seen AI drastically change stuff on the platform, or what you've had to do with the advent of it becoming, much more usable, I would say, in the recent years?
Yeah, I mean, AI kind of breaks down into a few areas. I mean, on the creator side, people are definitely moving faster, and that's great. And the lower cost and can just experiment a huge amount more. So when we look at some stats in terms of how many people are using our split testing tools and those things, like it has gone up dramatically just because they can get things out the door very, very fast. So that's fantastic to see. Then you have all of the kind of coding side of it, which is a lot of the stuff that we're using internally, which for a lot of our users, they don't necessarily have the need because we kind of take care of that for them. But yeah, we are like up and down using it for coding, code reviews, scoping, at scale. You don't have to go through the traditional, have an idea, get it into Figma. Once it's into Figma, spend, that takes 1 or 2 months getting it from Figma to feedback to next step in the cycle to actually start. That's another 4 to 6 months. You can do that. You can prototype on the fly now, which is fantastic, which means you can just get customers into, feedback loops very, very quickly, and means we can move a lot faster as well. But yeah, I mean, AI is just going to continue to be one of those things that evolves. I would say that the journey that we've had, I mean, ChatGPT and all those, and your Gemini's, it's great. There's great fun you can have with Sora 2, and just come out, and all the stuff that demo day with OpenAI a couple of days ago, and yeah, that's a huge amount of fun, and it will help people do much more in terms of sales at a much lower cost barrier to entry. But the other side we're going to start seeing, I think, is over the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to start seeing the application layer really take full force. And obviously today you have your Lovables and kind of those companies that you can essentially I didn't call it context coding now, not vibe coding, but you can essentially kind of go in that direction on some of these platforms already. But now we're going to start seeing we're really going to start getting into the application layer, which, for a company like ThriveCart, there's a huge amount of opportunities, both for, ourselves, but then, us plus our customers and just the customers, merchants going forwards in general. So, I think we're scratching the surface right now. We know which direction companies like OpenAI are going with their, with their app store. And, it will just help a lot of things move faster, I think.
Mhm. Have there been any use cases of the platform that you've been surprised about? And what would those be? I mean, I'm sure there's people who use it in ways you never imagined.
Yeah, I mean, the most interesting one I would say is, so touching on the theme of we don't charge fees in addition to Stripe, PayPal, and whoever else. There are a lot of people on the platform who are selling physical products, actually. So that's actually a pretty big part of our business that you wouldn't necessarily think. And the journey there that we've identified is people are going, well, look, I'm driving my sales from Meta or Facebook more specifically, let's say, to a product that's on another platform, could be a Shopify or WooCommerce or wherever it is. I'm then paying them a fee essentially to provide a very simple checkout process for just one product. And they kind of have to pay quite a bit of fees, for the privilege to do that. So we actually get a lot of people that, sometimes they take their kind of, best performing product and then they will put it onto our platform. And then the rest of the catalog, they might leave, on one of those kind of more e-commerce specific platforms. So that's kind of one interesting use case. But the big one really, and where we see kind of people see that the most success is going from, I started out, I was selling one product. It was a digital product or something, or just some coaching, and then they really start to get into the subscription game, and that's where businesses scale, and they scale quickly. So not only can a platform like ours with upsells, downsells, bumps, all the good stuff in there, we can help increase your AOV, but the lifetime value growth really comes from once you get a student into the LMS, you're consistently driving value, because the first sale is always going to be the hardest and the most expensive. After that, you own the customer, so you continue going down that path. So yeah, I would say that kind of most, of the bigger businesses on the platform kind of very quickly get into the subscription game, which you wouldn't always think with digital products. You kind of put that a little bit more akin to a SaaS business, for example, instead of thinking, well, I've got course materials and but if you're adding value, people will continue to pay you for that access. So it's kind of own the customer, just keep driving more value, and subscriptions is the perfect way to do that.
Do you see customers staying on the platform when they get to 9 figures or more? And how are you kind of planning to adapt to that?
Yeah, I mean, so once you get kind of 9 figures plus, I mean, that's where, it might make sense. I mean, we have people that have, stayed, gone on. It might make sense, to kind of, go super custom in terms of what you're doing. But, we can definitely continue to scale, as much as anybody, can or wants to. In terms of the 7-8 figure space, absolutely. The brilliant thing the thing that I think is brilliant about our platform is we obviously offer all of these things for you, but the core of it is checkout. And as I said earlier, to us, that is not the last mile. Your checkout, so firstly, it should not be the weak link in your chain. It should be this is the piece that day or night works, and that's it. But then and that's harder than it sounds. That sounds like it should be super easy and should just work out of the box. But when you have 65,000 people all trying to do something at the same, Black Friday would be a great example. You have, 250,000, transactions trying to go through at the same time, for example, in a specific hour on a specific day. That's where you're okay, we need the checkouts are, not always that simple. And we work day and night to make sure that they can scale. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, your checkout should work for you. It should be driving your AOV higher. It should be driving, lifetime value higher as well. And, that's kind of the core of what we do, the core of what we'll continue to do. But, by kind of positioning the product not as the last part of the journey, but actually as like an instrumental, we see it as like the first step of like what comes next effectively. So, that for a 7-figure business, 8-figure business usually does mean they're going into those, LMS, subscriptions and all those bits. And the great thing with our business is our platform is, if our platform doesn't make sense for you, at that stage, you're like, look, I want to go build a custom website. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, it's perfectly fine. And it works with that. I mean, we have, a sister brand, Converttree, that does, amazing websites and landing pages at super, lightning speed. But you might go, say, look, WordPress is what I want, or I want, whatever it happens. You can just take your checkout experience and embed us like anywhere you want to go. So you don't need to think like, look, if I'm outgrowing this thing, I need to kind of, go through a big, arduous change to kind of get onto a new platform. It's like, you can continue to take us wherever you want to go for as long as you want. And, you're not paying us subscription fees or anything like that in order to do that. It's you take us, you make money, and we will, be there, along the journey with you, no matter what you scale to.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the integrations into other places, that's the way to do it, sounds like, and it makes sense.
Yeah, and that's how the business initially scaled, through kind of integrations. Then I think a lot of these platforms tend to kind of close up a little bit, and they're like, well, we offer that now, so why would we allow it? And it's like, well, it's a big world out there. There are, what, 8 or so billion people. Lots of people have lots of different preferences. And who are we to say, look, you must use our LMS, or you must use this one because we have an agreement with this company? It's like, no, you should use whatever makes sense for you and your business. That's not our job to get in the way of, what your journey may entail. We're here to augment it and help it as much as we can. So, we go out of our way to create new integrations with new companies that we think that have scaled and will continue to scale and do great things. There is always a bit of a vetting process that goes in with that. And I'm sure, likewise with them, with us similarly. But yeah, a big part of it is, we just want to be flexible. We want to take that hassle away from, from our kind of merchant base, and starting to impose restrictions or anything like that is kind of just very anti what we're trying to achieve.
So just the last question I have, like, what is your vision for the company right now? What does the next 5 to 10 years look like?
Yeah, so we are kind of adding more. We are kind of relaunching, kind of version 2.0 or 3.0, a lot of our existing stuff. So we are kind of, as inclusive as we want to be. We want to continue improving our own products over time as well. But the big thing is going to be what happens to payments over the next kind of, 1 to 5 years with AI. So we're kind of diving very heavily into, the ChatGPT App Store, getting our kind of, hopefully getting our kind of, offering the ability to get catalogs of kind of, products into there, whether that's, in an LMS format on these LLMs, whether it is kind of giving, white label apps that kind of merchants are going to put straight on there, themselves. But essentially kind of going into that, getting very deep on the kind of agent to kind of the agent protocols. So eventually we definitely see the shopping experience being, my agent will talk to your agent, and we will kind of, through MCP servers and all of that, like, transactions will take place. So, but making sure that can be done in a very kind of secure, very secure and kind of, way. And that's always been very important to us. I mean, even today, we don't just sit on top of, Stripe and PayPal APIs. We have our own integrations with these companies that we've, been very fortunate and worked very hard with them to bring. So we have, the best kind of AI fraud protection, cybersecurity protection, everything, because it's our ecosystem, with built with these companies. It's kind of a unique instance, and we will continue to kind of be kind of top of mind with those things as more and more happens with kind of AI adoption and integration and everything else. So yeah, there's a huge amount coming in terms of the existing kind of platform improvements, enhancements there, but we're really looking to the next stage of, like, look, everybody's had a lot of fun with, the kind of chat element, the chat bots and all of that. That's the, 0.01% of what AI can offer. It's like, how do we kind of open up these new platforms as kind of search engines, as kind of ways to kind of reach to people, ways to enhance the educational process that people will go through, having, an agent sat there while they're consuming your course or materials and kind of helping along the way, but also selling the next part of that, and how to kind of just provide a much bigger global base in terms of kind of payment options going forwards as well. So yeah, we're really excited about AI. We're cautiously optimistic. Security is always kind of top of mind for us, but we certainly think there are going to be big changes in the way payments and payment platforms handle payments, going forwards, and we're going to be at the forefront of that.
Ismail, I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. I think you built something really amazing here for creators, and it really gives them powerful tools to build out their own businesses, and they all need to do that to remain creators. And just the next phase of this, what you talked about here, is very exciting, and the ways you're going to use AI and just the innovation that's to come. So I look forward to what's next, and thanks for taking the time and doing this.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you having me on.